Hey everybody, welcome back to Dashboard Studios. I'm Rob, and in this video I'm going to make about 40 pieces that look like this, sort of long and narrow, and it's got a notch out of each end. This is a rough test piece, and this has to do with some packaging. So I'll have to get a little clever with making these notches because there's not really a straightforward way to do that. But let's see what I can do. I'm using 12 millimeter Baltic. And as you can see, I've got the thing set up here in the long rip configuration. Got a few track stars on the back for extra support, a couple outriggers here. The width is about 45 millimeters. So I'm just gonna double check my setting here with the rip gauge. I've got that set to the dimension. Slide that in against the flag there, and we're ready to go. Flip that down out of the way. Of course, the other one is already set right there. And now we can load the sheet on. So in order to do that, I'll just raise this off of the table and hang the long rail on the rail hangers. So it's out of the way, but handy when I need it. All right, well, here's the piece. And even though it is 12 millimeters, it's still kind of heavy. Kind of awkward. I'm not a big guy, but let's see if I can avoid embarrassing myself. Okay. So now we'll just flip up the flags and pull the sheet against those. So that's ready for cutting, and drop the rail back in, just in that center slot. So we're set. Make sure that we're still in contact there, and we'll get the saw. All right, as I said before, I need 10 of these, and that'll take a while, so I will really speed this up in the edit. I'll just take this moment to mention that I do like to use a corded saw for the long rips because the battery never dies in the middle of a cut. Think about it. All right, we got 10 beauties here. And now we'll start thinking about cutting them to length. Okay, so all those pieces are ripped to width, and now the thing to do is cut them to length. The number is 598.5 millimeters, roughly. So now I'll just slip the rail onto the guide rail brackets, which were already here, but they were dropped conveniently out of the way while I was doing the ripping. Just lift up that bar, flip the rail on. I'm gonna drop it on the pin on the front, like so. That's all it takes. Just tighten these knobs. And that's ready for service. Okay, so right there is the mark I want for my dimension. Just slide this up against the splinter guard. I've already set the flip stop, and we're ready to go. Now, because these pieces are narrow, I don't need the full crosscut capacity of the system, so I've just dropped the F2 in here pretty close to the front, so it's easy for me to reach. And since the long pieces are gonna be kind of sticking out this way, for the sake of simplicity, I've got a couple of parallel guides here set up so that they are just a fence that's not really a fence, and they're gonna keep the excess out here aligned as I move the pieces along and make these cuts, because I'm gonna be running up against the flip stop here. And so here we have 40 pieces. Nice, clean, controlled process. Everybody's ready for the next step. Okay, so the next thing to do is to cut these notches out of the ends of each piece. I don't really have a good way to cut this line with a track saw. I don't have a bandsaw. I can't seem to find the jigsaw. And so I'm going to use a router. This cut will be done with a saw. But we have to think about the sequence here, because if I did the saw cut first and then tried to route out this other section, this piece might be loose, it might be flying around when it's almost done being cut, and it could get stuck here, could break the router bit. I already broke one, so I don't want to do that again. So I do have the DI router table set up here. I'm going to cut half of the thickness of the piece at each end, flip it over, and then raise the bit high enough to finish that in the second pass. Well, the routing is finished, and you can see I've got a slot here on each end. So now I'm just going to make a saw cut down from this edge into the radius of the end of that slot, and this piece will just drop away. I've done a test cut here. You can see that worked out pretty nicely. So it's all set, and I'm just going to leave that there to back up the rest of them. But the idea here is I've got all these sitting here, and I've got a known square piece of plywood set up against the fence. So I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them at once, and I might be able to do this in only 2 passes. Might need a third, but we'll see. That's pretty good. Round 2. Not much to complain about there. A little round over to make them pretty. All right, well, I've got the 40 pieces I need. These are going to be part of bench packaging. And the point of all this is to show you that with the dashboard, a few accessories, a track saw, router, and drill press, you can make these unusual parts, make them all the same. So dashboard is about more than just building cabinets, and it's really about your imagination. Thanks for watching.